Your morning eggs might be doing more harm than you think, and the damage is happening in silence, one breakfast at a time. Here is something that stops most of my patients cold when I tell them. A person with diabetes can eat eggs every single day and still watch their blood sugar climb, feel tired after meals, and wonder why nothing is working. Not because the egg is the problem, because of everything happening around it, before it, and the moment it hits the pan. The egg has been blamed, cleared, blamed again, and cleared again. The American Heart Association changed its guidance. The FDA has updated nutritional labels. And yet most people with type 2 diabetes are still eating eggs in a way that works against them, not for them. That is what we are fixing today, specifically, practically, and with exact numbers. Before we get started, please tell us in the comments your name and the city you are watching from. We would love to know. Now, I want to ask you something honestly. Do you eat eggs in the morning alongside toast, orange juice, maybe a bowl of cereal or a few strips of bacon? Do you scramble them in butter, eat them fast, and move on with your day? If yes, you are not alone. That is exactly how most Americans eat eggs. And for someone managing diabetes, that combination is one of the most reliable ways to send blood sugar into a dangerous rise before 9 in the morning. This video is not about fear. It is about correction. Because the egg itself, eaten the right way, at the right time, in the right amount, with the right foods around it, is one of the most powerful tools a diabetic adult over 50 has for controlling blood sugar without medication changes, without expensive supplements, and without giving up a food most people genuinely enjoy. Let us start with why the egg gets misunderstood so consistently. The egg has had a complicated reputation in American medicine. For decades, doctors told patients to avoid it because of cholesterol concerns. The American Heart Association put egg yolks on the warning list. People switched to egg whites only, or stopped eating eggs altogether. Then the research shifted. It became clear that for most people, especially those without a genetic predisposition to cholesterol problems, dietary cholesterol from eggs does not raise the dangerous type of cholesterol in the blood the way we once thought. But here is what got lost in all that back and forth. While everyone was arguing about cholesterol, nobody was talking about what eggs actually do to blood sugar. And for someone with type 2 diabetes, that is the most important conversation there is. The egg is not a carbohydrate food. A whole egg contains less than 1 gram of carbohydrates. That means it does not directly push glucose into your bloodstream the way a piece of toast does, the way orange juice does, the way those popular breakfast cereals do, even the ones marketed as healthy. The egg is almost entirely protein and fat. And that combination does something very specific inside your body that most people over 60 with diabetes have never been told about. Here is how it works, in plain language. When you eat carbohydrates, your body breaks them down into sugar molecules. Those molecules enter your bloodstream quickly. Your pancreas, which is the organ that produces insulin, is supposed to release the right amount of insulin to move that sugar out of the blood and into your cells where it becomes energy. In type 2 diabetes, the system is broken in 2 ways. The pancreas does not always produce enough insulin, and even when it does, the cells have become resistant to it, meaning they do not respond properly. The result is that sugar builds up in the blood. That is what a high blood sugar reading is. That is what causes the damage over time. Now, when you eat protein, something different happens. Protein slows down the entire digestive process. Think of it like traffic on a highway. Carbohydrates alone are cars with no speed limit, rushing through and flooding the bloodstream with glucose all at once. Protein is like adding traffic lights. The same cars are there, but they move through in a slower, more controlled way. The glucose still arrives, but it arrives gradually, giving the pancreas more time to respond and giving insulin a better chance to do its job. The fat in egg yolks adds another layer to this. Dietary fat further slows gastric emptying, which means it slows down how quickly food moves from the stomach into the small intestine, where digestion really happens. Less speed means less of a spike. The blood sugar still rises, but the curve is much gentler. And for a diabetic adult, the difference between a spike and a gentle rise can be the difference between a reading of 180 and a reading of 140. That 40-point difference over months and years determines whether complications develop or stay away. This is why egg protein is underestimated. It is not a drug. It does not replace medication, but it is a physiological tool that works every single time you use it, as long as you use it correctly. Let me tell you about a patient in his early 60s I will call Robert. He came in frustrated. He had type 2 diabetes, was taking metformin, eating what he thought was a reasonable breakfast, and his morning blood sugar readings were consistently between 170 and 190. He felt tired by 10 in the morning and was always hungry by 11. When I asked him to walk me through his breakfast, he described 2 eggs scrambled in the microwave, 2 slices of white toast with butter, a glass of orange juice because he had read that orange juice had vitamins, and a cup of coffee with flavored creamer. He thought the eggs were the healthy part of the meal. He was right about the eggs. He was wrong about everything surrounding them. We made specific changes. We removed the toast and replaced it with half an avocado. We eliminated the orange juice entirely and replaced it with water or unsweetened sparkling water. We changed the creamer to a plain, unsweetened version. We adjusted how many eggs he was eating and when, and we moved his eggs to the beginning of the meal so they were always the first thing entering his stomach. In 3 weeks, his morning blood sugar readings dropped to a range of 120 to 138. He stopped feeling exhausted before 10 in the morning. His hunger stayed controlled until lunch. He did not change his medication. He did not go to the gym every day. He changed how he was using a food he was already eating. That is what this video is about. Now let us talk about the exact dose, because this matters more than most people realize. For an adult between 50 and 85 with type 2 diabetes, the research-supported range is 1 to 2 whole eggs per day, not 3, not 4. Not an egg white omelet with 6 egg whites. 1 to 2 whole eggs. The yolk is not optional. The yolk contains the fat that helps regulate the glycemic response. Removing the yolk removes the protective mechanism. If you have been eating only egg whites because you were told it is healthier, I understand why you were told that. But for blood sugar management specifically, the whole egg performs better. The timing matters enormously. The most important time to eat eggs if you have diabetes is in the morning, and specifically, they should be the first solid food that enters your body. Not the last thing on the plate, the first. Before the toast if you are still eating toast. Before the fruit. Before anything else. The reason is mechanical. When protein reaches your stomach first, it sets up the slower digestion pattern for everything that comes after it. If you eat the toast first and then the egg, you have already triggered the fast glucose entry. The egg protein arrives too late to slow anything down. The second best time to eat eggs is as a midday snack or light lunch protein source. A single hard-boiled egg at 11:30 or noon before a meal with moderate carbohydrates can help prevent the midday glucose surge that causes the heavy, tired, foggy feeling that many adults with diabetes know very well. Frequency should be daily or near daily if your cholesterol numbers are within a manageable range. If your LDL cholesterol, which is the type doctors call the bad cholesterol, is already very elevated, meaning above 160, talk to your doctor before making eggs a daily food. For most adults in the 50 to 85 age range with type 2 diabetes, but without severe cholesterol complications, 1 to 2 eggs daily is not only safe, but actively beneficial. Before we go further, I want to ask you to please subscribe to this channel. Every video here could be the information that is missing before an important decision about your health. It costs nothing. It takes 1 second, and it means you will not miss what comes next. Now let us talk about how to actually prepare and eat eggs in a way that supports your blood sugar, because preparation is where most people quietly destroy the benefit. The first mistake is cooking eggs in processed oils. Many households use vegetable oil, canola oil from a spray can, or margarine. These oils cause inflammation in blood vessels, which makes insulin resistance worse over time. Use extra virgin olive oil, a small amount of real butter from grass-fed cows if available, or avocado oil. These fats do not work against your blood sugar management. The second mistake is pairing eggs with high glycemic carbohydrates. High glycemic means foods that break down quickly into sugar. White toast is the biggest offender. White bread has a glycemic index higher than table sugar when measured in certain studies. Adding it to your egg breakfast cancels much of the blood sugar benefit the egg provides. If you want a bread component, Choose one slice of whole grain bread made with visible seeds, not bread that says whole wheat on the label, but feels soft and fluffy. Those are often nearly identical to white bread in terms of how fast they spike glucose. The third mistake is adding sugary extras without realizing they are sugary. Flavored coffee creamers at places like Walmart or CVS contain anywhere from 5 to 7 grams of added sugar per tablespoon. Most people use 2 to 4 tablespoons. That is up to 28 grams of sugar poured into your coffee while your eggs are still sitting on the plate. Orange juice, even the kind labeled 100% juice with no added sugar, contains as much sugar per serving as a can of soda. It enters the bloodstream fast, and it completely overwhelms whatever protective effect your egg protein was trying to provide. The fourth mistake is cooking eggs in a way that raises their inflammatory load. This means high heat frying until the edges are crispy and browned. When egg protein is exposed to very high temperatures, it undergoes a chemical change that produces compounds the body processes differently. The egg still has value, but some of the protective benefits are reduced. The better preparation methods are soft scrambling on low heat, poaching, boiling, or baking. These methods preserve the protein structure more completely. The fifth mistake is eating eggs alone without a vegetable component. This is one of the most underused strategies for diabetic breakfast management. Adding non-starchy vegetables to your eggs, vegetables like spinach, mushrooms, bell peppers, zucchini, or tomatoes, adds fiber. And fiber works similarly to protein. It slows glucose absorption. It keeps you full longer. It feeds the beneficial bacteria in your gut, which are increasingly linked to how well your body manages blood sugar over time. A 2-egg scramble with a large handful of spinach and some sliced mushrooms is genuinely one of the most blood sugar stable breakfasts an adult with diabetes can eat. It is not expensive. You can find those ingredients at any Walmart neighborhood market or grocery store for under $3. Now let us talk about what to pair with eggs at different times of day, because the combinations change depending on when you are eating. At breakfast, the ideal plate looks like this. 2 whole eggs, cooked on low heat in a small amount of olive oil or butter, with 1 or 2 non-starchy vegetables folded in. On the side, half an avocado or a small portion of full-fat plain Greek yogurt without added fruit or sugar. A cup of coffee or tea with no more than 1 tablespoon of unsweetened creamer or a splash of whole milk. No juice, no cereal, no white bread. If you feel you need some carbohydrates to feel satisfied, add 1 piece of fruit with a low glycemic index, meaning apples, berries, or pears. Not bananas, not pineapple, not grapes. Those fruits push glucose faster. As a midday snack between 11 and 1 in the afternoon, 1 hard-boiled egg prepared ahead of time and kept in a container is a practical, portable option that requires no cooking. Many people keep a batch of 4 or 5 in the refrigerator for the week. Eating 1 hard-boiled egg 15 to 20 minutes before a lunch that includes moderate carbohydrates, like a small portion of rice or a sandwich on whole grain bread, helps buffer the post-lunch glucose rise. It is not a guarantee, but in practice, many patients see a measurable difference when they add this habit. At dinner, eggs can replace higher glycemic proteins like breaded or fried chicken. A simple frittata, which is essentially a thick egg dish baked in the oven with vegetables, is a low-carbohydrate, high-protein dinner option that takes about 20 minutes and costs very little. Pair it with a green salad and some olive oil and vinegar dressing, and you have a meal that produces minimal blood sugar disruption. Let me tell you about another patient, a woman I will call Diane, 71 years old, living in a suburb of Chicago. She had been told by her previous doctor that her morning readings were too high and that she might need to add a second diabetes medication. She was frightened and overwhelmed. When she described her typical morning to me, it included instant oatmeal with a packet of brown sugar added, a banana, and a small cup of orange juice. She thought she was eating well because she had read that oatmeal was good for blood sugar. And in some contexts, oatmeal can be fine. But instant oatmeal with added sugar, combined with a banana, which is one of the highest glycemic fruits you can eat, combined with orange juice, is essentially 3 fast-acting sugar sources hitting the bloodstream simultaneously. Nothing in that breakfast was slowing anything down. We replaced her breakfast with 2 eggs scrambled with spinach and half a tomato, cooked in a small amount of butter, a cup of hot green tea with no sugar, and on the days she wanted something more, a small portion of steel-cut oats, not instant, with cinnamon and no added sweetener. Steel-cut oats behave very differently from instant oats. They take longer to digest, produce a much slower glucose rise, and are worth the extra cooking time. Within 4 weeks, Diane's morning readings dropped an average of 30 to 45 points. She did not need the second medication. Her energy levels improved noticeably by the 3rd week. She told me she had not changed anything else except breakfast. That one meal, corrected, made the difference. Now let us be very direct about what you can realistically expect and when. If you make the changes described in this video consistently, meaning you eat 1 to 2 whole eggs per day, always as the first protein of your morning meal, always paired with non-starchy vegetables and healthy fats, and you eliminate the common blood sugar spiking companions like orange juice, white toast, sweet cereals, and flavored creamers, you should start to see measurable changes in your morning blood glucose readings within 7 to 14 days. The change will not be dramatic overnight. Diabetes management does not work that way, but you should see your morning readings begin trending lower. For many people, the drop is between 15 and 40 points on average. That is not a small number. The CDC and major diabetes organizations define meaningful glycemic improvement in terms of consistent reductions, not single-day readings. A 20-point average drop in morning glucose sustained over 90 days translates directly into a lower hemoglobin A1C, which is the 3-month average blood sugar score your doctor looks at to determine whether your diabetes is controlled or progressing. You may also notice that the exhaustion you feel mid-morning starts to reduce. Many adults with poorly controlled morning glucose experience what is called a reactive drop, where the blood sugar spikes high after breakfast and then falls quickly, leaving them tired, irritable, and hungry before lunch. The egg-based breakfast with the structure described here prevents that spike, which means no dramatic drop follows it, which means stable energy throughout the morning. Within 3 to 4 weeks, most patients who follow this consistently report feeling less hungry overall, less reliant on snacks between meals, and more consistent energy levels across the day. These are signs that blood sugar is running more evenly, without the peaks and valleys that define poorly managed diabetes. Now, there are situations where this approach needs to be modified or discussed with your doctor before you begin. If you have a history of kidney disease, meaning your doctor has told you your kidneys are not functioning at full capacity, increasing protein intake needs to be done carefully. Protein is processed by the kidneys, and in someone with significant kidney function loss, a daily egg protocol should only happen with medical supervision. This is not a reason to avoid eggs entirely, but it is a reason to check first. If you have been told you have a condition called familial hypercholesterolemia, which means your body produces unusually high levels of bad cholesterol because of genetics rather than diet, your response to dietary cholesterol from eggs may be stronger than average. Again, talk to your doctor. For most adults with type 2 diabetes who do not have these specific conditions, the evidence strongly supports eggs as a safe and beneficial daily food. If you are currently on insulin therapy rather than oral medications, the timing and composition of your meals affects your insulin dosing. Any significant change in meal structure should be coordinated with the provider managing your insulin. This is not a warning against eggs. It is a reminder that insulin dosing is calibrated to your current eating pattern, and changes in that pattern can affect your numbers in ways your provider needs to know about. If you have a diagnosed egg allergy, none of this applies to you. Egg allergy is one of the more common food allergies in adults over 60, and it should not be dismissed. Symptoms can include digestive discomfort, skin reactions, and in rare cases, more serious reactions. If you have ever experienced unusual symptoms after eating eggs, discuss this with your doctor before increasing your intake. Now let us pull everything together with clarity. The egg is not the problem. The egg has never been the problem. The problem is what most adults with diabetes in America eat alongside it, before it, and after it. The orange juice that floods the bloodstream with glucose before the egg protein can do anything useful. The white toast that behaves like sugar the moment it enters the digestive system. The sweet creamer that adds 20 grams of sugar to a morning cup of coffee. The egg has been sitting there every morning doing its job, while everything around it quietly undid the benefit. 1 to 2 whole eggs per day, eaten first in your morning meal, cooked on low heat in olive oil or butter, paired with non-starchy vegetables and a healthy fat source. Eaten before or instead of high glycemic carbohydrates is a scientifically supported, low-cost, practical strategy for improving morning blood sugar control in adults over 50 with type 2 diabetes. The protocol is not complicated. Start with 2 whole eggs tomorrow morning. Cook them in a small amount of olive oil on low heat. Add a handful of spinach or some sliced mushrooms if you have them. Eat the eggs first before anything else on your plate. Replace the orange juice with water. Replace the white toast with half an avocado or skip the bread entirely. Do this for 14 consecutive days and check your morning blood sugar readings each day. Write them down. Compare the numbers from day 1 to day 14. The data will speak for itself. Your blood sugar does not have to keep climbing. The solution is often not a new prescription. Sometimes it is a correction to a habit that felt healthy, but was quietly working against you every single morning, one bite at a time.